What's going on, you all? It's your boy Dom Kemp here, and last night we had games 2 going on in the NBA playoffs. The Toronto Raptors versus the Orlando Magic, the San Antonio Spurs versus the Denver Nuggets, and the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Portland Trail Blazers. These matches were definitely very good and very intense, with a lot of emotion playing a factor in them. Let's jump straight into it, starting off with the Toronto Raptors and the Orlando Magic. So what I noticed from the game was the Raptors start off on an 11-0 run to start the game, and Kawhi plays a huge part in it. He was making all his shots to start off the game, and it just kept on continuing throughout the game in bits and pieces. We got Kawhi hitting mid-range buckets all first quarter. He just would not stop shooting that mid-range. He made a couple threes as well, which really helped the Raptors get out ahead early. We have Terrence Ross for the Orlando Magic, who catches fire at the start of the second quarter. He was going off. He was shooting the 3-ball. He's a streaky shooter. He was making his threes, though, as well as driving into the lane and dunking on that rim that they have in Toronto, and he was just going off. A fantastic performance from Terrence Ross in this game. Unfortunately, it did not result in a victory for them. Kyle Lowry was getting buckets. He did not score, I believe, in the first game, but he scored a few buckets, a few layups, a few threes in this game. Definitely a great thing to see when Kyle Lowry is getting in rhythm, and he is just not assisting, but also scoring the basketball as a point guard. We have Pascal Siakam attacking the bucket. He once he gets into the lane, you need to get in front of him. Otherwise, he will either dunk on you or he will get that hard contact foul and get the and one, because he fights through contact every single play. Pascal Siakam is a fantastic player. I noticed he is a great player for a championship caliber team. Maybe the third or fourth best player on a championship caliber team. The referees let them play through a lot of contact. I noticed in the playoffs, of course, they rule everything differently and stuff like that, but they were allowing a lot of contact in this Magic and Toronto games. Even Kawhi Leonard was upset, and you don't see him get upset very often. He was getting fouled hard and everything. And also the Raptors, they did lock in on defense, which was the resulting factor of a victory. They played great defense at home in this game, and the leading scorers for both teams, Aaron Gordon for the Magic had 20 points. Kawhi Leonard had 37 points. And the final score of this game was 111-82, not even close. They tie up the series at 1 apiece. Toronto is going to Orlando for games 3 and 4 coming up very soon. We move on to San Antonio versus the Denver Nuggets. What I noticed and I took away from this game was it was a back and forth battle to begin with. Whatever you can do, I can do better. They kept on scoring on each other back and forth. And then LaMarcus Aldridge getting early buckets. That was crucial, especially shooting from the mid-range. He was making them almost every single time. His consistency from that shot. Same with DeMar DeRozan, though. They are consistent mid-range shooters, and that is a lost art form in today's game, especially with all the big men shooting three-pointers overall. The Spurs pull away to start the second quarter. That was definitely evident in the game as the momentum kind of swung in their favor. But the Nuggets rally late in the second. It seemed like the Denver Nuggets were rallying a lot late in the game, which ended up resulting ultimately in their victory. So 33 points between DeRozan and Aldridge in the first half. They were just scoring at will against the Nuggets. Jokic couldn't do anything. Will Barton, he couldn't really guard DeRozan, or Harris. He couldn't really guard DeRozan either. It was just a clinic, a mid-range shooting clinic for those two guys. But once again, the Nuggets rally in the third quarter late with the momentum swinging in their favor. It was definitely getting interesting. I noticed that, like I said before, DeRozan and Aldridge from mid-range for the Spurs are deadly. They make that shot consistently without error most often. Then Jamaal Murray had some clutch three-pointers late in the fourth quarter. He was actually consistent with his three-point shot, and that ended up ultimately pulling out the blue arrow from his back and firing it into the stands. He kept on shooting, and he kept on making them, which was crucial for the Nuggets' victory. The leading scorer for this game was San Antonio Spurs' DeMar DeRozan, 31 points. And for the Nuggets, the leading scorer was Jamaal Murray with 24 points. They do tie up the series, and it was a good game. So all tied up at 1 apiece for that series as well. So Toronto and Orlando tied up, and San Antonio and Denver. Going to San Antonio for games 3 and 4 will be the Denver Nuggets. Last but not least, we had the late game last night, Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Portland Trail Blazers. It was a back-and-forth battle in the first quarter. Whatever you can do, I could do better. That was the same momentum that they did have going into the game, like San Antonio and Denver did. Damian Lillard and Paul George scoring at will. Both players were just scoring, getting to the bucket, shooting long threes. They were just trying to outscore each other. It was a good performance from both of those players. But a sneaky performance from CJ McCollum ended up allowing the Blazers to go up 2-0 in the series, taking both games on their home court, now going to OKC, trying to get the sweep. Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook got into a skirmish. Now, it was an interesting little skirmish because it looked like Damian Lillard was playing good defense with it, but Russell Westbrook, he was elbowing him, and it was like, okay, what's going on here? So it was interesting watching it. But it's one of those, it's weird to see. Man, I'm telling you though, Damian Lillard, he doesn't care about no Russell Westbrook. He doesn't. He's just a savage. CJ McCollum had a buzzer beater before halftime to tie it up, so the momentum was starting to swing in the favor of the Portland Trail Blazers going into the second half. Harkless for the Portland Trail Blazers, stripping Paul George twice in back-to-back possessions. He was playing that lockdown defense. Like I said before, Damian Lillard is cold. He is a cold-blooded player. If he can get past the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the upcoming series in the playoffs. Damian Lillard, three-pointer to close out the third quarter at the buzzer beater, had a little bit of a dribble move and a step back, hit it in the mouth of, I think it was Paul George, now that I think about it. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I believe it was a player who was much taller than Lillard. He stepped back, he put it in his mouth, and said, hey, that's a splash, baby, right before the end of the third quarter, and to put the Blazers up a little bit more, and it was just all Blazers from there on out. Trailblazers kept their foot down on the Thunder and did not allow them to get back into the game, even with a lot of hard fouls on their end, but they prevailed. The leading scorer for the Thunder was Paul George with 27 points, but CJ McCollum, a quiet 33 points in this game, shooting the mid-range over Steven Adams, shooting the three-point ball off the pick and roll. He was getting it done in this game. Definitely a good performance from him. But the final score was 114-94, 20-point victory for the Blazers. They go up 2-0 to lead the Oklahoma City Thunder in this series. Now, games 3 and 4 are in OKC, so there will be a different vibe and a different atmosphere for that, but we have to see who will prevail. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and I will be talking to you all later. Have a good one, okay? Peace.